What are your expectations for Flins? That's a good question. What do I expect for Flins? Let me think about it for a minute. I expect Flins to buff Lunar-Charged damage team-wide so Ineffa has good synergy with him. I do not expect that at all. I think it's incredibly unlikely he does that. The buff, the Lunar-Charged damage buff is already both on Ineffa's C1 and on Ineffa's Sig. And multiplicatively on Ineffa's Ascension passive. I expect Flins to have Lunar-Charged damage. And I expect that to be the only way that it directly synergizes with Ineffa. Like, he's gonna have talent damage that is Lunar-Charged, like Ineffa's A1 passive. That way, that gets increased by Ineffa's Ascension passive, and also it gets increased by the buff that Ineffa gives. Let's think about this. Flins V-1. Okay, this is pre-league Flins calcs. I wanna look at, with the assumption that all of Flins' damage is considered Lunar-Charged damage, and that he is balanced for his teams to do pretty similar DPS to Skirk's team's DPS in premium teams. And I want to look at, if that, with those assumptions, how much DPS he would lose from you not having Ineffa. You're going to assume you have any Lunar-Charged without Ineffa. For now, I'm assuming that Flins also lets you lets you trigger Lunar-Charged. So he's not like reliant on her for his kit to get activated. How do you even do that? Well, we know what the numbers on the rest of the teammates are, right? So we know what the rest of the team's DPS is. So we'll just assign the motion value to him for the total team DPS to be at 120-ish K in the best possible team. And after that, from those numbers, we'll see how things change if we replace Ineffa for other options. Honestly, I kind of expect Ino to be better than the current Hydros for these teams, because the current Hydros have literally awful synergy with Lunar-Charged as a reaction. The only buff they give is all damage percent. But for now, we'll just look at Sanctorialon instead, because I don't expect Ino to be a major upgrade. I will assume the new set as well. We'd probably assume Ballad of the Fjords on him. That's 510 base, so probably like 850-ish base attack. Anyways, Ineffa, 565 plus. Flins could be Bow. Didn't he get leaked as a polearm? He did? Yeah. 330. Sucrose doesn't matter. Okay. So I guess, yeah, first we look at Ineffa stuff. So attack percent in a team like this, you would have Yelan on Noblesse. So 46.6 times 2, 20% from subs. Damage percent, EM multiplier, crit value, crit multiplier. Damage percent on Ineffa is gonna be fucking nothing. Like, outright nothing. Literally nothing. Elemental Mastery, Ketane. Actually, no, that's not true. We have 12%. Well, 8%-ish average from Ketane. I'm not making two lines for skill damage and burst damage. Just group them and approximate 8%. EM, so 110 from the Kitten Spear. Around 180 from Sucrose. No, that's not true. Well, yes, that is true. Sucrose burst lasts 8 seconds, right? And the buff lasts 8 seconds. Like, this is not full uptime, but it's relatively close. Then we have 6% of her attack. Yeah, multiplier. They changed it to 6, right? I think Flins leaks are out. No, they're not. This is a very premature calc, but I'm trying to guess how important Ineffa is going to be for Flins, assuming he's a Lunar-Charged focused carry. So crit value, 98.4. We will assume the new set, 62.2, 20 times 6.6, and 56 CV. Then we have E-attack, Lunar-Charge, Lunar-Charge damage, motion value, Lunar-Charge, number of Lunar-Charge. So effective attack is total attack times 1 plus damage percent times crit multiplier. Effective attack Lunar-Charge is total attack times EM multiplier times crit multiplier. Lunar-Charge damage is 2604. 2604 times EM multiplier times crit multiplier. Motion value, Ineffa, 146.9, 163.2 times 10, 1150.6. Motion value Lunar-Charge, 65 times 10 times 3. Number of Lunar-Charge. Well, we get 10 total. We'll figure out how this goes when we look at the rest. So, Sucrose, honestly, none of this shit matters. Base HP, 14,450. HP percent, 18 from passive. We probably go ER Sands with Fav here. Now, with Fav, you probably can go HP Sands here. 20-ish% from subs. Damage percent, 46.6. 20 from Noblesse. Is that it? It is. Yeah. EM, maybe like 80. Yeah, multiplier. Crit value. We don't have this. We have everything else. Yup. Crit multiplier, effective attack, lunar charge, doesn't matter. Lunar charge damage, motion value. So we have 38.4, 12.42, 8.28 times 3 times 13, most likely. Did HP stands that team sus? I don't think so. Fav plus electro resonance is probably enough. Oh yeah, there's the Sucrose EM sharing, you're right. Motion value, lunar charge, 0. Okay. And then Flins, right? We said we're assuming that he's on Ballad of the Fjords. Usually these carries have either 1 or 2 self-buffing things. Because Ineffa gives EM, and they're probably gonna want you to go for Ineffa for him, I expect Flynn's self-buff to be something other than EM. Most likely either attack or crit. Attack is more common, and generally a self-attack buff hovers between 20 and 40%. Because he's new, I would expect about 40%. Realistically, I feel like it's gonna be 35% self-buff. That's my guess right now. Flins is going to self-buff his attack by 35%. And then you have TTDS. And yeah, I'll take EM self-buff instead. I feel like it won't be, because Ineffa gives a pretty big EM buff. So if Flins also gives an EM buff, it's gonna nerf the synergy between the two, and it's gonna make it so that you're less reliant on Ineffa. And they probably want you to be reliant on Ineffa. So I just don't think this is how it's gonna be. Oh yeah, I guess you would go attack goblet. That's true. Damage percent would be maybe about 20% average from Yelan. EM. So we have the Ineffa buff. We have the new set. We have the Sucrose buff. We don't have Ketane. And we have Ballad of the Fjords. Yeah, multiplier. Crit value, exactly the same thing for now. And then plus 27.6 times 2. All right. Effective attack. Yeah. So most likely what we can expect is 10, 5, 1, kind of, for lunar charge ownership. We're just going to simplify things, assume that Flins is always the highest number, and then this would be divided by 5, and these two would be divided by 12 for the 10 procs, and I'm rounding up to 1, because sometimes, like, something crits. Because average lunar charge damage is a little bit higher than average crit multiplier. Anyways, damage, DPS, total, no. The res multiplier average for Flins would be pretty much full uptime VV, most likely. So 1.15 times 190 divided by 390 times effective attack times motion value plus effective attack lunar charge times motion value lunar charge. And then about half uptime VV on the actual lunar charge. Okay. For this, everything would be about half uptime. For this, also, everything would be about half uptime. This divided by 20. We haven't given Flins any damage yet. And I guess Sucrose would be at like 2k-ish. Yeah. So Flins' personal DPS would need to hover around 70k here for him to be around the same level as Skirk. Isn't 70k too high? I mean, Skirk is higher than that in a lot of our teams. Anyways, let's assume that he's got non-lunar charge motion value of about like 2500% and lunar charge motion value of like 5000%, 4500%, right? This is including the actual lunar charge, by the way, and like the lunar charge reaction itself. But Flynn's kit is only doing 70k, not 80k, but yeah. Like, I feel like this would be a reasonable assumption here. I think that's kind of what he would need to be worth considering. Although it's very possible that Ino is much better than Yelan in this team, and that would change things, but whatever. Anyways, now let's take a look at what happens if we do something instead of Ineffa, right? So no Ineffa, we lose Ineffa's personal damage. We lose the times 1.14 for the increased lunar charge damage, and we lose the EM buff. In exchange, we get something else. Auron definitely would not be the play. I'm telling you right now. Let's look at Bennett. Would probably be Instructor Bennett, not Yansan. I mean, it could be Yansan if Flins moves a lot, but I'm pretty sure Yansan would be worse than Bennett. So, assuming 4-star weapon Bennett, team DPS instead of 116k would be around 104, which isn't that awful, actually. Surely Yelaniar stays the same. Yeah, that's true. It's not like that matters, though. Like, you're gonna lose like 2k DPS from higher Yelaniar requirements. But if Flins has higher ER requirements because of Bennett, that can be a problem. Right, we still don't know if Flins is burst reliant. Yansan! C6 Yansan, assuming we can maintain uptime. A little bit worse than Bennett. But you do get the Electro Resonance back. This is with the assumption that his damage is distributed in a way that favors Lunar Charge damage. We don't even know if he has Lunar Charge damage yet, by the way. We also don't know if he's actually going to be an attack scaler. He might be an EM scaler or an HP scaler, right? We're assuming a lot of shit right now. Official now? Sure. Go ahead, official. Don't think that's better. What bow? You don't really want stringless. Let's do the hunt. 231, 78. Probably about 18 average. 17. Yeah. not exactly what you're looking for. Is 90k considered bad today? I mean, it's not bad, but it's like, unless Flins is directly an EM scaler, the gap won't be that much bigger than this, like, theoretical Flins kit between Ineffa and Bennett. Maybe Bennett won't work, maybe he's burst reliant, maybe he doesn't have Electro App to set up your swirl. Like, the gap is less than the gap for Escoffier. So unless he's directly an EM scaler, Ineffa is probably less important to his teams than Escoffier is to Skirk teams. If he is directly an EM scaler, though, that shit is completely different. All right, like we can look at theoretical EM scaling kit if you guys want. So if it was an EM scaling kit, you wouldn't go TDDS Sucrose. You wouldn't get attack buff like that. You wouldn't get this. Would you go Instructor Yelan? Probably. Oh boy. No way you reach that ERX? Oh, you'll be fine. Fav, Electro Resonance, you'll be fine. Sack Frag on Sucrose, you'll be completely fine. So let's change it on DPS like 4k. We're not going to manually calculate. We'll just override it to 4k and assume Instructor. We'll remove the Noblesse buff. We'll change the EM buff. Instead of 160, it's going to be about 200 average. We'll also get about 100 average from Instructor on Flins. And 60 average on Instructor for Ineffa. Anything else? No. Then we would have, instead of this, we would look at the EM. We also would need to add EM main stats. And then we need to figure out what sort of EM scaling we would use. We put EM signs. Yeah, this is EM crit. Maybe around 10k, kinda. 11k for it to do a similar number. Alright, if we look at old EM scaling characters, Al-Hytham, each mirror is 225-ish. He gets upwards of a default of like 6 3-mirror procs, which is 18 times 228, right? The default over 4,000, but Al-Hytham is kind of old as hell, and he's balanced around the rest of the team doing a lot of damage. 11k might be a bit higher than realistic, but it probably isn't that out there, actually. Might as well use T1 Instructor Mona at this point. That's not a bad idea. Nah, the Omen doesn't last long enough. So, actually, maybe this is too optimistic. Whatever, I don't know. But anyways, if it's like this, and we don't use Ineffa, who else could we use instead? I'm pretty sure you'd want to do Nahida, so you can add some Hyper Blooms, but I can't be bothered calcing that shit, so let's not. We don't have other good slots though, right? We could just end up using some shit like Auron or whatever. Sarah, no. We're looking at what if Flins is an EM scaler? Sarah buffs attack. Chilonen? I guess. Diona. Fuck no. We're assuming that Electro Goblet isn't good on him because we know he's a Lunar-Charged carry, and that means he's likely going to be focused on Lunar-Charge, and Lunar-Charge is not affected by damage percent. So unless he's a Lunar-Charged carry the same way Kanich is a burning carry, you won't care about damage percent. But maybe he is a Lunar-Charged carry the same way Kanich is a burning carry. We don't fucking know. We don't have his kit yet. Anyways, we can just copy the official thing we had earlier, right? It's exactly the same things? No, it's not. It's almost the same things. We have 120 EM. We lose 20% attack. So if he's an EM scaler, you're gonna need Ineffa, right? Like, this is a 40k DPS loss from not having Ineffa. Maybe there's gonna be some weird Hyper Bloom bullshit. It's gonna make the gap closer to like 25k, but yeah. Yeah, okay.
Goose on the loose! Goose on the loose!
Goose on the loose!